In today's video, we're going to review how to graph and plot points in a coordinate plane. This is part of the geometry unit, and so our color for the geometry unit is pink. Okay, we're first going to review some vocabulary. The coordinate plane is a way to locate points in a plane using a grid. And a plane is just any flat surface. So this is a way to put points on a flat surface, and we use a grid in order to help us do that. The x-axis is the horizontal axis, and it travels right. That's the positive direction. And left, that's the negative direction. So the x-axis travels from left to right. Okay. The y-axis, this is the vertical axis, and it travels up, the positive direction, and down, which is the negative direction. So the y-axis travels that way. The origin is the point assigned to 0 on the number line, or the point where the x-axis and the y-axis intersect. So it's the point 0, 0, the ordered pair 0, 0. Coordinates, these are ordered pairs of numbers that locate a point on the coordinate plane with reference to the x and y axes. And ordered pairs are always x first and then y. So we go the distance left and right first, and then we measure the distance up and down. A quadrant, the x and y axes divide the coordinate plane into 4 sections. And these sections are called quadrants. Quadrant 1 is located in the upper right-hand corner, and this is where x is positive and y is also positive. So we've moved to the right and we've moved up and down. Quadrant 1, we have positive, positive. In quadrant 2, this is the upper left-hand section, x is negative, but y is positive. So we have traveled left and up. So in this quadrant, x is negative, y is positive. Quadrant 3 is in the lower left-hand corner. And in quadrant 3, both coordinates are negative. So we've traveled left, which is negative x, and down, which is negative y. Quadrant 4 is the last section, and this is in the lower right-hand corner. And in the quadrant 4, x is positive, and y is negative. So we have traveled to the right, which means we have a positive x value, but we've traveled down, which means we have a negative y value. To graph a point, we first travel in the x direction, so we travel left or right, and then we travel in the y direction, so then we travel up or down. So for some examples, we're going to graph and label the following points, and we're going to state which quadrant or along which axis they fall. So the first point we're going to graph is 2, 5. So 2, 5, both points here, the x and the y are positive. That's quadrant number 1 if we refer to our notes above. So we know that's going to end up somewhere here in quadrant 1. Let's go ahead and label our quadrants just so we have that as a reference. Okay. So point A is at 2, so we go 2 to the right, and then we go 5 up. So 1, 2, and we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So our point's here, and we're labeling that point A. Point B is negative 4 and negative 4. Both of those are negative, so when we have 2 negatives, we end up in quadrant 3. So point B is going to be in quadrant 3, just somewhere here. We're going to go left to negative 4, and then we're going to travel down negative 1, 2, 3. So point B is right there. Point C is a negative and then a positive. So if we look back up here, a negative and then a positive, that's going to be somewhere in quadrant 2. This is quadrant 2. We're going to travel left to negative 1, and then we're going to travel up 2 units. So we're going to go to here, and that's point C. Point D is positive and then negative. Positive and then negative lands us in quadrant 4. So we're going to go over to quadrant 4, and we're going to a positive 2 and down to a negative 1. And that gives us point D. Quadrant 4. The point 0, negative 3, we travel 0 left or right, and we travel down to negative 3. 1, negative 2, negative 3. So that's point E. And that falls on the y-axis. Remember, the y-axis is the up and down axis. The x-axis is the left and right axis. And we have some little there, but we labeled them larger, so you might be able to do that on your paper as well. All right, letter F, we travel left to negative 5, but we don't go up or down any because the y-coordinate is 0. So we're at negative 5, 0, right here, and that's point F. That's along the horizontal axis, which is our